All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for another episode of Night City Council. Hear ye, council is in session. I am JonJonTheWise, and I have with me none other than the mayor of Balancetown himself, James Hutt. How are you, James?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, you know, you are a co-host, so I gotta have you.
It would be pretty fun.
Yeah, it would be a weird show if it was just me, because we need
Uh,
you. We have questions.
I'm excited to answer some more questions. I feel like it's always been so long since we did the last episode.
I know, man. We do it once a month.
Week now.
I know.
We missed it for a week.
We missed it for a week. We definitely did. We apologize, but ladies and gentlemen, we have a DLC to talk about, and we have questions to answer. James and I, we're just gonna get straight to it because the questions are just piling on, and we actually need to catch up. So
yeah, I'll try to get a good chunk this time.
So yeah, let's get a good chunk. We're gonna get straight to it. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for your questions. You can email me JonJonTheWise@gmail.com and ask. It's a question for Night City Council. We're going to be answering questions for Cyberpunk Red only, no other RPGs in case you didn't know that. And yeah, let's get straight to it. So this next question is from Iron Serpent Prince. And actually he has two more after this. We've been getting... At one point, this person bombarded me with questions. And you know what? I do my job. So, Iron Serpent Prince wants to know about the pressure point strike critical injury. Is it for only one turn or until treated?
So the pressure point strike critical injury. So all the critical injuries that are caused by martial arts attacks are just like you inflicted it with another attack, with a standard critical injury. I'm going to check more specifically on this one. He says
187 and 180 page. Thanks for the pages, by the way. You're an MVP.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
MVP, dude.
MVP. Saves me a little time. Here's the thing about this question. I think it's a good question because the pressure point strike critical injury has an effect that only happens for the turn after it's inflicted. However, there's another part of it that happens for the entire duration until it gets treated. Which is your base death save changes. So to answer this prince's question, the first question it looks like is it's until treated.
Gotcha. So the effect, the original effect happens the next turn, and it doesn't repeat, but your death save penalty stays there until you're treated.
Yeah, the injury effect, unless it implies a continuous effect, usually tells you how long that part lasts.
Roger that. Okay, let's move on to smart ammo and aim shots. How do they interact? Page 96 from Iron Serpent Prince again.
Oh, 96. Yeah. So you can use smart ammo to attempt to make an aimed shot. So here's the answer.
Okay.
When the smart ammo still has to hit your much harder aimed shot. So if you miss it by 4, it gets a second shot to try to do it, but it's still getting a second chance. It's still the second chance to hit is made by rolling again to hit the exact same shot DV.
Maybe we should let's go a little bit back just in case people don't know about smart ammo. Okay. I'll just read it from the book. It says a targeting scope cyberware is required in order to use smart ammo. Mm-hmm. And then when you fire it, it won't fire when the trigger is pulled as a safety feature without the targeting scope cyberware. So it's all connected. And when you do it, whenever a shot is missed by 4 or less when using a weapon single firing mode, your missed shot immediately has a second chance to hit your target. This second chance to hit is made by rolling against the 2-hit exact same shot DV on the range table, which you miss. So you pretty much have to hit again. It's like a reroll, basically, is what it gives you, right?
So it's when using the single shot firing mode. Mm-hmm. And aimed shot is a type of shot that you can make using the single shot firing mode. It's not a different mode of firing. It's not like auto fire. It's simply an aiming with the single shot mode, and thus they're not separate things. You can do both. However, the DV it goes against is not the DV that they were at on the range table. It's the DV that your shot was. And it will be higher because you're making that aim shot, making it more difficult for yourself. Basically, making it more difficult for you to hit the shot also makes it more difficult for the bullet's second chance property to hit the shot.
Okay. So
that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So aimed shot. So basically when you call for an aimed shot, the rules are -8 to hit. You get a -8 modifier. But also you could do the flip side and add 8 to the DV, which is the exact same idea. So if you want the smart ammo thing, and maybe this will be easier for you to understand or to work with, let's say the DV's 21, make the DV 29, and that means if you roll a 25 or lower, according to the smart ammo, then you get a second chance to hit. That's basically what it is. So just add that 8 to the DV instead of subtracting it from your 2 hit, and that might be a little bit easier to interact with.
So smart ammo is really good if you're bad at shooting a gun, but you want to shoot a gun. It's also really good if you're trying to hit a very hard shot and you're willing to get that. You're likely to miss it by a little bit, and you're not shooting like a crazy, like shooting people in a moving train from a mountain nearby. You would need to come fully prepared. You would know you wouldn't get it. Smart ammo wouldn't really help you in that situation. If you look at the math,
I like the
there
idea.
There are situations where it makes sense. It's also extremely expensive.
Super expensive. 500 eddies for 10 bullets.
However, if you keep hustling, there is a point of your character where it goes, how many bullets do I actually fire? I'm a professional. I should, I should invest.
Why not? I only need 2 bullets anyway.
Right, yeah. You can put these things also rockets. Smart rocket.
Oh.
Really good. Smart arrow. Also very good.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, rockets do 8d6 damage. And I personally went through that with one of my groups recently. It was not nice. Everyone got a critical injury. It was not nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I love the idea where you shoot, you miss, the bullet like zips around something because it's like a smart bullet and comes back around. That, especially if it's a headshot, that's awesome. All right, let's move on to the next question. The last one from Iron Serpent Prince. We appreciate it. Armor stat penalty. Does it degrade a stat past the minimum of 2?
Yes. If you have 0 move, you can't move.
I like that idea. So you're pinned, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you're wearing too much. You can't physically move around in the armor. It's too heavy.
Awesome. There you go. All right. Moving on. This is from Yig1015. One-handed versus two-handed weapons. What's the benefit of either? This is a tried and tested question. We've talked about it many times. James, would you like to tackle it?
So, putting aside the power gaming thing, because for power gaming, right, I want the biggest stats I can get, and I want to use the least requirements to get it. And you would want, a one-handed very heavy or a one-handed heavy. You would never really go with a two-handed weapon.
Yeah.
If you have a body that's high enough, you can treat two-handed weapons designed for other people as one-handed weapons designed for you because you're a real big dude or girl. So it really becomes what's around you, what's available. Handedness in a weapon is different for different people. Once we get out Black Chrome, though, there will be weapons that say this is two-handed or this is one-handed, and that distinction will make more of a difference. When we're talking about weapons in the core book that are fairly modular, and you could get either one, it's really a moot choice. and you'll choose whichever one is right for your character, and you already know which one's right for your character. Expect to see some fun two-handed weapons in Black Chrome. No spoilers. Let's move on.
Please.
Thank you for your questions, Prince.
There you go. That was actually Yig. We're done with Prince.
Oh, sorry.
But Yig, you're a prince to us, okay? Or princess. Or whatever you want to be.
Yig's been asking good questions for a long time.
Yeah, we have some good ones.
I remember Yig's questions. They're good.
I would also just like to note that one-handed weapons and two-handed weapons, they have their own narrative value when you guys are playing the game too. If something happens to one hand, you can't use the assault rifle anymore. It's a two-handed weapon. That might have been your bread and butter way of doing damage, and now you have to, figure out a way to be creative and use some other type of weapon with only one hand. And the same can be said about reloading, having two different weapons at the same, a melee weapon in one hand, a pistol in the other, and that means that you're versatile enough to do both in combat, when someone with an assault rifle will have to ditch their rifle to be able to use their melee weapon. So these are all things just to keep in mind on. Think about what flavor you want your character to have, what style of combat, and what kind of badass they're going to be, and then build there from the ground up, and the weapons will come to you as far as what you should give them. All right. This is from Aqua Aceman 285. Humanity loss rules at character creation full package.
So
I believe they mean from cyberware, right?
Yes. Their question is about how to do it.
No, I think you know what? I honestly don't know. I should have looked through this one a little bit more. I think what they mean to ask is when you're using the full package on character creation and you install a piece of cyberware, there is a minimum value that needs to be removed from your humanity, right? You don't roll for it at character creation.
No, you don't. So I'll get into the reason why you don't roll for it.
Yeah.
The reason why you don't roll for it is because I wanted there to be the potential of, I can make a level 1. I can make a starting character and I can bring it to a convention event, and it won't be like, yeah, I rolled 2.
Yeah.
It's just, we're not going to do that. We should just make a clear, crispy, how much humanity loss do you get for installing this as a starting character?
Yeah. There's a static value for each piece of cyberware. And then there's also a dice value that you would roll if during the campaign you had installed this piece of cyberware. Then luck will play a factor. But when it comes to character creation, it looks like you guys just wanted to have like an even playing field. And like these are the building blocks and these are their values. From there, have at it, right?
And I'm going to be very specific just in case this doesn't answer the question for our question asker. The number in parentheses in the humanity loss, when the cybernetic thing that you're trying to put in your body is on its entry, that number in parentheses is the amount of humanity loss you take if you install it at character generation. And going forward, we'll put that on everything, so everything will be compatible. So the answer to where can I find the rules for that is on page 111.
There you go. Okay. Still talking about cyberware. This is from Hollis McRae. They're talking about page 230 states cyberware reduces max humanity by 2. I believe they mean the standard humanity loss is what they're talking about. Borgware, so cyberware by 2, Borgware by 4, and 0 if no humanity loss at installation. Does this mean 1d6 divided by 2 is still a minimum of 2 reduced? So what they're saying is, let's say I get a piece of cyberware installed during the campaign, and I roll 1d6, I get a 1. I lose 1 humanity. When I want to remove that piece of cyberware or do some kind of therapy to remove that humanity loss, do I remove only 1 or do I remove the minimum of 2 as said on this chart?
So first off, this is a bit of an edge case.
Yeah.
I think that we're talking about reducing maximum humanity. There is the potential in this edge case for you to be over your maximum humanity due to an incredibly benign surgical, like if you take really well to a very not very humanity loss intensive implant.
Yep.
It's possible to be above the maximum, but that is your maximum, meaning that's the maximum you can be therapized up to. So you're doing great until the first time a bad thing happens and you lose a little bit, and then you can't get up above your maximum.
Yeah.
Good question.
So the idea is when you install a piece of cyberware, your maximum humanity diminishes, and that's something that can't be gained, right?
Unless you uninstall the piece of cyberware.
Got it. So the idea is that maximum will be gone forever, but if you go to therapy and do what you want to remove humanity loss, you can go back up to that number, but it's not your maximum until that piece of cyberware gets out.
Yes.
Got it. All right, that makes sense. Okay, thank you, Hollis McRae. This is from Gulliver the Gullible. Can you give insight into the connection between humanity and cyberware, empathy and social interactions, and cyberware?
So this is almost a philosophical question. And this is also a question that is heavily GM dependent. I can't give you a rules answer to a GM dependent philosophical question. But I can say that humanity is meant to depict your empathy stat. There's a reason why it's tied to the empathy stat. It's your ability to empathize with human beings.
Yeah. That's what makes us human, right?
That's the simplest point of it, and that's why it's linked to things like conversation, very human action, and I would also first and foremost say that there's a lot of stuff. If you're really interested in how we feel about this, we really did break it down in the core book, because at a certain point it's a game mechanic as well. And we're just read what section is this?
To page 230. It talks about cyberpsychosis and depersonalization disorder.
Yeah. So I don't wanna say any weird soundbite. So I'm just gonna point them at 230. That's where we cover all of this stuff. There's a sidebar on difficult subjects. I recommend you read it. That's how we feel about it.
Yeah, it's that age-old question: do androids dream electric sheep? That's the philosophical question. If you have so much cyberware within you, machine within you, how much of you is cyberware, and how much of you is a human being? Once that scale tips too much in the other direction, you start questioning yourself. And this is, it's been labeled in the book as a dissociative disorder. So it could just be all in everybody's head, you know what I mean? But it's definitely something that happens within the cyberpunk universe where people get too chromed out, they lose their mind, and then they have to be put down like rabid dogs, basically, when it gets to the extreme. So that means that they can't be in society. They can't be a part of society. They've gone off the deep end. And that's what separates you from being a human being that's able to live in a society than an animal, basically. You turn into an animal and you need to be put down like an animal. And that's the idea of it.
So, yes, there's also a bunch of extra nuance to it. I do want to, again, say it again. Please do read the
Page
full
230.
contextual explanation of it on 231. We tried to get it right there.
There's even a quote from the Mayo Clinic there.
Yes, it is all very very researched out.
Yeah.
That's the answer we got.
So let's to bring it back to the player and the GM. What do you recommend? What are some ideas or insight that you can give us on, let's say, somebody that's on the verge of cyberpsychosis? How would they behave differently than somebody that isn't, and like player to player? I mean.
So, in my opinion, whenever this is a complex role-playing challenge for the player, and they get to determine how much they want to role-play that, because at the end of the day, it's their fun, it's their game. The GM is running it, and they're all playing together. So I'm just going to assume that if you're asking this about your own character, you might think to yourself, how would they do this? And then, as long as everyone on the table is, comfortable with it, and nobody's getting hurt, then I just see people having a good time at a role-playing table.
Yeah. Yeah, it's up to your group. Like, you could have a GM that's like, oh no, you have an empathy too. You're not behaving the way that you're supposed to. And, maybe that works for some people to have those kinds of restrictions. If that's what you and your group like to do, that's perfectly fine. But if you're not comfortable with something like that, you might want to talk about it with your GM too and say, hey, I know I only have an empathy too, but I don't really want to behave in such a way, and just find a common ground.
Right.
That's what I would say.
Any type of these challenges, I always say, the more you communicate with the people you're playing with, the better a time you're going to have, safer it's going to be, and the more fun
yeah
you're going to have.
Yeah, and like the compromises I've made with my players, I'd say, like, anything, you got to have a 3 minimum, because a 2 will make it difficult for you to behave. So that's just my table rule. And most people are like, that's fine. That's only 1 up from the minimum. That's okay. You know what I mean? So it just depends. Like James said, talk to your GM, see what's going on, pal around, get some pizza, Mountain Dew, and just chat about it. Kumbaya. That's all that matters, right?
You're already playing a tabletop role-playing game together. You might as well also be friends.
Exactly. Might as well. You have something in common. All right. Gulliver has another question. Gulliver the Gullible. Does the initiative queue change if a solo takes a turn during combat to change his combat awareness points, lowering his initiative?
Initiative is only rolled at the beginning of a combat encounter, or when a new entrant enters the combat encounter, it's rolled for them. So yes, solos of the world, you can use your initiative powers at the beginning. When it says, as soon as combat starts, you can change your points. That's when you can go, okay, I'll put them all into initiative. And then on the next turn, you got to say, is it worth taking an action to change that? Yeah, because that's sort of the downside if you do that as a solo.
Got it.
If you pump all your initiative to go first for the first turn, then you're like, okay, but I'm not using my solo powers to do anything other than get early on the initiative queue. And if you're willing to use an action to change it, like your solo power states, then you deserve to be able to change it. If you get that low in combat, it's their fault for not pressuring you. You can do the whole fall back and, reassess the situation and go at it from a different way. I mean, that kind of is your job.
Yeah, true. That's what you're good at.
Same thing with threat detection. You can kind of just have that on all the time. You are always looking at the door. You're always looking for some guy that put a mine under a newspaper in the alleyway, a la previous Artel work.
All right. Gulliver also asks, pros and cons. Give me the heavy SMG versus light SMG. Why would I take one over the other?
One word: concealability. Concealability is the only real reason you're taking SMG over a heavy SMG. if I didn't need it to be concealable, I'd go with the bigger gun too.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because a heavy SMG can't be concealed.
Fun times. A heavy SMG can be concealed if you get a
tech upgrade, right?
If you get a pop-up cyber arm.
Oh yeah, that's right. Pop-up cyber arm.
In fact, cyber arms can allow you to get away with a lot of stuff. In terms of a pop-up weapon.
Okay.
You can also put attachments on your pop-up weapon, and still conceal it, like you wouldn't be able to under a jacket. Let's do the EMG Railgun one.
Yeah, so Nihilus Astalon, one of my Patreon players, love you, man. An EMG 86 railgun is considered an exotic assault rifle. That means if you have a tech modified with an attachment slot and you add either the extended or drum mag to it, does that mean it goes from a mag cap of 4 rounds to 35 and 45 respectively?
So, first thing, how much money are you giving your players, John?
None of them have this thing, okay?
Okay. Because the cost to upgrade should be dependent on the item that you're upgrading.
We're talking about looking up exotic weapons, that's all.
Thousands and thousands on one railgun. In which case I say yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can do those things.
Yeah.
And it'd be really cool. But at that point you're looking at a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like way more money. At that point you're talking about, this is a Vorpal sword. You're like
yeah, no, I'm not giving them that much, but
hey, all they need to do is a couple of jobs. They need to all pool their money together.
I was gonna say
one railgun, and you have the what happens when the Power Rangers put all their weapons together.
Honestly, if they wanted to mess with me, they would do that. They'd be like, "We're all pooling our money together to get this goddamn railgun."
But let me make sure of one thing before I give. I don't know what sort of license I'm giving out. Probably to spend a lot of money as a tech. Drum. Let me just make sure of something, because I'm pretty sure. Oh my god. I cannot believe we use the word drum so many times in the book. Yeah, no, we're good. You're good. You're completely okay. By the way, if you're doing that, you might as well make it a drum. But your GM might say, hey, whoa, that type of thing constitutes a special thing and not that other thing.
I mean, think about how gigantic the drum would have to be to fit something that only the gun can only fire 4 rounds natively. So if you want to add 45 or 41 more rounds to it, think about just the logistics of it.
I just think of I don't know. That sounds like a good time to me.
It sounds like it'd have to be like mounted on a vehicle.
It'd be a backpack. It'd be a backpack, and there'd be a I don't know. It'd be fun. My point is,
oh god,
it's very cool, and yes, and that this is a yes. You are correct.
This is a yes. Yeah, it's a yes for you. It's keep this thing away from me. For me.
Hey, don't worry. This is thousands and thousands of EB, more than they're likely to receive in the first 30 sessions of gameplay.
Yeah, it's definitely they're not there yet, but like I said, if they pooled their money, I'm in trouble.
You know, I think that's just teamwork. If they start pooling their money, maybe they'll start role playing with each other.
I mean, how can I fault them?
Yeah, how about that?
Exactly.
How about that? If they started role playing with each other, then you got a real power of teamwork problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best part. All right, thank you guys so much for your questions. James and I are eternally grateful for this interaction with the community. Now let's move on to the DLC that we are going to be talking about today. It is Cargo Containers and Cube Hotels, my favorite band.
John, didn't you mean free DLC?
Free DLC, the price of 0.
That's right. It costs this much.
That's right. All you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, is go to artasauriangames.com, go to their download section where it says DLCs and game aids. Downloadable content and game aids and errata, and you'll see all that stuff. It's really easy to find. Mm-hmm. And you'll find among them Cargo Containers and Cube Hotels, written and designed by James Hutt and Jay Gray. We know them. We love them.
Don't you think you'll probably link it in the description?
That's right. You guys are seeing it on screen anyway, and you'll get the link in description. But yeah, this is a great DLC for those of you that have been trying to figure out where your players live, where they're gonna go, and rest for the night. And when the GM says, "Hey, rent is due," and you don't really have a place to tell them where you live, this DLC is just for you. We got charts, we got new items, new gear items, and we got all kinds of cool fluff and lore that goes along with it. James, what can you tell us about it?
So my favorite part about this DLC is the amount it can benefit a session zero. Because, I've got my feelers out and I heard that a lot of people are having trouble determining, how do I put myself in this world? I have this life path, but that stops. It's kind of stops telling you what you're doing. Like 5 days ago, I need to determine where I am this morning. This sort of fills into that slot. Oh, this morning you woke up here. And each of these locations has this sort of story potential to it, where, oh, I live here. Maybe that means I do this. Maybe that means I'm this type of guy. Maybe that means I'm this type of girl. Maybe that means there must be live here for a reason. Why? My point is, this is a bunch of flavor, and the earlier in a campaign you introduce this, the more you will get out of it.
Yeah, it's a good marker for all your players to figure out where they live. It's according to Night City, but you can take all these names and everything and just add it to your own homebrew city or wherever. It makes no difference to anybody. But the cool thing about it is, if I am in a cube hotel in South Night City, that's different than New Westbrook or Watson Development.
Yeah, and it starts to tell you more about the city itself. So if you are playing in Night City, well, what is it like? Where are you? And a way to make every district feel not the same, because they definitely aren't the same. And a way to make it player focused too, so that as a GM, you don't have to carry that whole weight of like, I have to constantly describe every neighborhood we drive through.
That's right.
This gives your players it's like New Westbrook. Oh, I remember this. Oh.
Exactly. So basically what we have here is on page 2 of the DLC, which is basically page 1 after the title, is a map of Night City, the one that you have seen in the Cyberpunk Red Core rulebook. And additionally to this map, you see these markers that are labeled CH and a number for Cube Hotel, or CC for Cargo Container, and then it has a number corresponding to it. And this is all over the map, just dotted around the map. And the reason it's there is because on the next page is a 1d10 chart, table that you can roll for cube hotels, and then the next page has one for cargo containers. And you'll correspond to it, look at what part of the map it's on, tells you what part of the city. James, why don't you pick one of these from the cube hotels and read one of these for the audience, one of the results.
Oh, I think I want to go with Cube Hotel 1, the Orbital Air Housing Block number 3. You live on Morro Rock, which is a real place. I've been there. We beat their lacrosse team. I don't know why I keep mentioning that.
Well, it'll never be forgotten, all right?
In a cube, they put up a really good fight. Great team, great sportsmanship. In a cube hotel built to house engineers and other specialty staff that work on the Orbital Air Mass Driver. Despite not needing a permit to live here, you actually can't get any closer to the Orbital Air Mass Driver without an employee pass. Unfortunately, there isn't a restaurant on Morro Rock you can eat at without a pass either, leaving you with the option of either getting to use to Vendit food for breakfast or waiting for the next ferry. At least it's extremely quiet here, and no one comes asking any questions.
I love it. There's story behind it. If it's housing for employees that work somewhere, these are like factory workers basically that are commuting to their job, and then they come to this hotel, this housing block, and instead of saying like, "Hey, you can't move in here unless you work for Orbital Air," they did these other like loophole, roundabout ways of keeping it kind of a part of their corporate zone. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's true.
So it's great. It tells you a whole story about why you're going to be there, and then it has a map marker CH1. So if we go back to the map, looking at CH1, where is it? It is on Morro Rock, which is an island. Like looking at it, you can tell okay, the next area that they can go to is Little Europe. That's the closest area. So there is a ferry from Little Europe going to Morro Rock on a regular basis. That's a story in itself. The ferryman knows your character. You owe money, or last time he told you can't ride the ferry anymore because you got too drunk with your buddies. There's all kinds of stories that you can add just from that kind of interaction. I like it. All right. I'm going to read one from the cargo containers.
I wanna bring up something real quick.
Sure.
You'll notice that on page 2, we have all these other numbers that don't mark a cargo container or a cube hotel. Those are there for context because that map is actually from the core book.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that you knew what you were next door to.
Gotcha.
So that, if you are giving this to the players, maybe as a printout, because it's really easy to print it, then they would know, oh, what's next door?
Yeah, totally. Okay, I like that. All right, so next, talking about cargo containers, I will pick number 8. Old Ironworks building. You live in the Haywood Industrial Zone in a cargo container stacked on the roof of an abandoned factory overlooking the Giraffa office park. Many of our neighbors are techs who supply Giraffa with parts and contract labor. I mean, I can already smell the smell of soot and welding torches going off and sparks and just like bad air quality as you're next to this old Giraffa plant. So that means that you are living in pretty destitute conditions in this Haywood zone. That's a story in itself. I wonder why you're an edge runner trying to escape that life and trying to make a better life for yourself, because going home isn't really fun, is it? So that's cool. I like that. Okay. So those are the two. So that's CC9 or CC8, and then you go to the map and you'll find CC8 over there, and that'll tell its own story. Now, why don't we talk about furniture?
Yeah. So the furniture, most of this is the brain baby of Jay Gray. He did great. He actually is responsible for coming up with the cough pops packaging on the top of page 5.
Oh, that's cool.
You got that on the screen, man?
Yeah.
Can you show the people?
The people will see the cough pops. Don't worry.
Fantastic. Another Continental Brands product, you know and love. I think it's super cool. So the furniture gives you an idea of like what might be inside your cargo container, because you sure as heck can't put any of it in a cube hotel, because you can't put your arms out in a cube hotel and spin around. I couldn't do this in a cube hotel. Again, based off of my apartment. Not my apartment, a nightmare I had about my apartment.
Yeah.
In specific.
Oh God.
But anyway, we've got little fun things here, like a hidden compartment. Oh, I want to have a fire safe. I want to spruce the place up a bit. I want to upgrade the furniture to a touch of luxury. I want some wall art. You know, what type of wall art do I get? There's a smart vanity. For, to try to look your best.
Yeah, so besides the furniture, which has it has 3 different sets. There's secondhand special, which is the cheapest one. It's 50 eddies. all the way to a touch of luxury, which is 500 eddies. So it's 1, 2, 3. The second, I should have said the second one, cargo container chic. So 50, 100, 500. Those are the 3 levels. And that tells its own story. And there's like fluff in here that tells you an idea of basically what it would look like if you had that style of furniture. And it's really up to you creatively how you want that to look, but it's just kind of like inspiration for you. So other than furniture, there's also something called home accessories, as James was talking about, like the Smart Vanity and the Continental brands, cough popper. And these are just like the basic household stuff that you see inside of these cargo containers.
Yeah, stuff like a rice cooker.
Yeah, exactly.
Not here. That's an example.
Yeah, wall art, hidden compartment, Smart Vanity, fire safe, the cough popper. What is a cough popper? I didn't even read this thing.
Will allow me to read it.
Please do.
The Continental brand's cough popper. The cough popper is a specialty thermos. Stuff a cough pop into the compartment built into the lid, pour in some water through the top, and press the button. In less than a minute, you've got 8 ounces of thin, warmish brown liquid. Sure, it tastes barely like coffee, but at least it is loaded with caffeine. Ignore the slight numbness on your tongue after you drink it. Continental brand cough pops come pre-packaged as light brown tablets roughly the size of an adult thumb and can be purchased at Oasis markets and cost €10 for a pack of 10. Cough pops are included in any kibble lifestyle, but the cough popper is not.
Man, even the Keurigs are grim dark in the dark future.
Yes, we have grim dark Keurigs.
Dude, you guys really have the grim dark going on with the Keurig, man. That's cool. I love that. Yeah, you got to have a cough popper, especially if you work in the factory at Morrow Rock or you work in the Haywood Industrial Zone. Everybody's got a cough popper. Turn it on, wake up at 4 a.m, get to work, get home at 7, 8 p.m. probably, if you're lucky. And that cough popper.
And you activate the cough popper again.
Exactly.
And then you go out for a night of drinking.
Yeah, and then you have a tech buddy that has fiddled with your cough popper to make it like extra juicy. Put some blue lace in there. Let's have a party.
Good times.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Cargo Containers and Cube Hotels DLC. It's a fun way of telling a story with your characters. It's a fun way to bring things together. As James said, I think Session 0 is the best way to do this. Unless you guys are kind of on the go and you're like, let's just stop by somewhere and like finding a tavern in a fantasy RPG. You can look at this map and go like, where are we? Oh, we're in Old Japantown. All right, there's a Cube Hotel, CH10. What's that? Let's go to the chart. CH10 is Unnamed Cube Hotel. Oh, geez. That doesn't sound like a good place.
Unnamed Cube Hotel is can save your life.
No staff, no cameras, and it's cleaned via ceiling-mounted water jets. All right, well,
So there's just why you might want this. The party meets an NPC that they don't kill, that maybe you wanted them to kill, but then they become really good friends with them, and you suddenly have to figure out, oh, what are they doing? Where do they live? This gives you a really easy out as a GM to say, oh, they live here. It also adds this really cool feeling to the game, which it's called Sonder. That's that feeling where you realize that everyone on the street has their own lives that are completely independent from your own, and that they're constantly living despite your own personal unawareness of it. The more you can invite players to maybe believe that these people are not fake things that you're talking to them about, that if I talk to anyone, they might tell me, oh yeah, I just got off work at I can't wait to go home. They might feel like they're more in the universe, and they'll probably have more fun.
Yeah, I like the idea that the middle class basically lives this type of lifestyle. You know what I mean? This isn't the poor and destitute, because the poor and destitute can't even afford these things.
The poor and destitute are on the streets.
They're on the streets, dead on the streets a lot of times, or fending for themselves in a combat zone, which is equally or more of a bad time.
There's this number 7. I'll spoil another cube hotel because it really gets to this, John.
Sure.
And then we can wrap up, I promise.
No, we're good.
Sue me. I like talking about it.
Oh, what?
Watson Central Cube Life. You live in the heart of Watson, in a cube hotel of middling quality, in a passable state of repair. This is probably the world's most average cube hotel, in the barest sense of the word. Your neighbors are low-level corporate employees that are not yet senior enough to merit a corporate connect, and perhaps never will be.
Wow, perhaps never will. Always on that treadmill, going nowhere.
Oh. Yeah, so that's maybe it'll make you feel like you're there. Give it a shot, and what can you lose? You can't lose anything except your time, which is the only thing you actually have. Anyway.
Yeah, I love that. See, this is why cyberpunk is like go to the extreme and style over substance. It's because when you go home, you go to the Watson Central Cube Life. It sucks. You have a cough pop to your name and that's it. But when you're out on the streets, you have your chrome on, your neon jackets, and you got your 357 Magnum in your pocket. I mean, that's a life worth leading. That's where that running on the edge gives you the type of life that you desire. Not the cube life. Not the cube life. You want the edge runner life, dude.
There you go. What type of life is a cube life?
It's not a life, okay? It's just the way of being. And it's great, like you said, for session 0. You know, you're like, this is where I live. I hate it here. So I want to... It's all the more reason for the crazy decisions you make as a player. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was just for everybody who sticks around in the back of a YouTube video.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy that.
Yeah, all you dedicated ones out there, we really appreciate you. James, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, John.
Of course, man. I love it. I love doing this. I'm honored, deeply honored to do this with you. Thank you for answering questions. Thank you from the community for all the questions. It is JonJonTheWise@gmail.com. Email me your questions, and as you saw, we answer them, and I'll even shout you out. We really appreciate it. And if you put page numbers down, you're a real MVP, okay? Because that helps a lot.
Those are the real ones. Those are the
real ones. If you get a page number down, you know, you'll get a gold star from us, and you know what? We'll do the finger guns to you from where we are to where you are, all right? Finger guns.
There you go.
James, spoil something. Tell us something big. Right now, get in
trouble.
trouble.
I can't spoil anything. Right now, but I'll see you all on Halloween.
Ooh, Halloween, huh? That's a special time of year, isn't it, James?
It's a special time of year. It's a special time to be on Artel's website, hitting the refresh button.
That's spooky.
I'll see you there.
All right, guys. With that spooky note, we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a safe Halloween. See you next month, guys. Bye.